welcome back. Today we are exploring something that comes up again and again and again in my work with the Akashic Records. A question that sits beneath so many of the patterns that I see in spiritual women's lives, in their visibility, in their gifts, in their money, in their leadership. And that question is, why has being visible always felt dangerous? For some of you, it might just be a whisper. For others, is possibly a scream. But somewhere along the way, you've learned that stepping fully into yourself, sharing your gifts, claiming your power, being authentically seen, came with a cost. So today's Akashic Soul Alchemy Oracle is going to guide us to exactly what that cost has been, where it originates, and what is ready to shift from that. So this isn't surface level spirituality. This gets to the root of why showing up, showing your face, going live, charging for your gifts feels dangerous. So let's begin. So I have pulled the cards and literally a story has unfolded in front of me. Okay, so because sharing your gifts feels unsafe and it feels dangerous, you are masking your authentic self. Now, you're doing this through safety, right? Because it feels unsafe to be visible, you are masking your full potential, your full soul expression, and who you really came to be because of past experiences, so quite possibly past life experiences that have taught you that it is unsafe, that it is dangerous to share your voice, to share your gifts, and to charge money for those gifts. So you have almost like put a cloak on, let's say. Okay, so people aren't really seeing who you really are, which means, you've got this cloak on and you are hiding your genius, you're hiding your power, you're hiding your voice, your gifts, your potential, and all of those different things because you have learned through either past life experiences that it is not safe for you to be visible. Maybe things passed down through your DNA as well, there where you have learned that it's not safe to be fully authentic. So we're going to look at what the fears are and why they are here and what you have learned as well. So it feels dangerous to be yourself, right? It feels dangerous to step into the full version of you. Now, that is going to be that there's obviously a reason, right? And there's going to be trauma memory here that is stopping you from stepping fully into yourself. So the next card that came up was soul gifts. Now, your soul gifts are here to be shared, right? You have those gifts for a reason. You are here to help humanity in, whatever is right for you, those gifts. Now, the gifts that we have are passed down through lifetimes, right? They don't just suddenly appear in this lifetime. You have lifetimes worth of gifts, knowledge, wisdom to share with the world, right? But those gifts are not getting out there because you're not being fully yourself. You're not expressing your soul in the way that it wants to be expressed in this lifetime. And that means that your gifts aren't getting out there. They're not being shared. But also, again, I keep being drawn, and we've got money alchemy next, right? That you are not charging for these gifts. So your gifts feel dangerous. So this is one of the reasons that you're hiding your true authenticity, is because your gifts feel dangerous. Okay, if you share your gifts, you might get persecuted. If you share your gifts, people might misunderstand you. If you share your gifts, you might be misunderstood, right? Or you might be unable to join, certain things because there is this kind of torture element around sharing your gifts, right? And again, you know, these gifts have come from lifetimes and timelines, right? They've not just turned up in this lifetime. You have been honing these gifts for years, right? For lifetimes. And same with, you know, the persecution imprints and the fears and all of those things where you have become afraid. It feels dangerous to share those gifts, to get out there, to put everything out there. And as money alchemy has come next, there is a fear here of charging for your gifts. So it's better that they stay hidden, right? And that you do something else that is not fully in alignment with you. So, you know, you take a job that doesn't fulfill you. You bring money in, but it's still slow at coming in because you're not working in your genius. You're not sharing your gifts, your knowledge and your wisdom, because it feels too dangerous to do that, right? And why does it feel dangerous? We've got the father wound, right? And that is very much about that patriarchal energy, right? We have been told by masculine energy that sharing our gifts is too woo-woo, that sharing our gifts is dangerous, right? That sharing our knowledge and our wisdom, you know, should be disguised. It should be hidden, right? So we've got this masculine energy at play, and what you may discover is that, you know, you want to share your gifts, right? And because it feels dangerous, you're in hustle, you're in you know, trying to do all the things and spinning the wheel, but you're not seeing the results that you want to see because we have this masculine energy of hustle, of grind, of doing all the things. Plus we're also, you know, in this masculine patriarchal energy that tells us that, you know, spiritual gifts and all of those things should be hidden, right? They're dangerous. So what is the root of all of this? It's the witch wound, right? So the witch wound tells us that it's dangerous to share our gifts. We'll be tortured, persecuted, hung, stoned, you know, and all of those things. So you would have lived lifetimes and timelines where you were tortured for your gifts, where you were persecuted. And again, it all comes down to this masculine energy where we had the witch trials, and, you know, this masculine energy told us that witches, woo-woo, priestesses, healers, mystics, and anyone that worked with nature. For me, the witch is someone that works with the forces of nature, right? So it's the herbalist, the astrologist, the healer, all of those different things, right? It is all about working with nature to heal, to grow, to expand, and all of those different things, right? So the male energy doesn't want this, right? They want us to live in fear. They want us to, the public in general, to live in fear and to you know, pay the I can't think what the words are, but, you know, the companies and all of those things. They don't want us living off the planet. They want to make us ill. You know, they don't want us to use the planet's resources to help us to live, to connect to nature, to ascend, and all of those things, right? So the witch wound is at the root of this, because we have been told collectively, right, that using nature, using gifts, using herbal remedies, you know, connecting in with Mother Earth, divination and healing and all of those things are dangerous, right? So we have this fear, and you would have lived through a timeline where, or a lifetime where you were persecuted. And if you weren't, then you can guarantee that someone in your family would have been tortured or persecuted in some way. The witch wound doesn't just come through our experiences. It comes down through our DNA, right? From the generations that have already been, that have experienced the witch trials and the witch burnings and all of those different things, right? So it is within us, and it is within us so deeply. Even now, being spiritual, being woo-woo, is still really, really misunderstood. The danger that we experienced in those lifetimes has passed, right? But we're still holding on to that persecution fear in our energy fields, right? In our DNA. So this spread so far is really telling a story in that you can't be your authentic self. You can't really connect in with your gifts, right? You need to keep them a bit hidden. You certainly shouldn't charge for them and make money from them, because the patriarch has said so, right? That we're, we shouldn't do that, and it's woo-woo, and that we could be persecuted, and all of those different energies, right? So it has all come down to conditioning in this lifetime, right? It's the conditioning, like bringing up fear around a witch. And for so many people, if you say, oh, I'm a witch, right? That brings up fear. It brings up misunderstanding of what a witch actually is, right? And if someone said, oh, we're going to do some witch wound healing today, right? People don't understand. And like I say, for me, a witch is someone that works with the forces of nature. So with plants, with herbs, with astrology, and with all the natural things that are around us. And she has honed her gifts to be able to do that. But, this spread is really saying, well, actually, the patriarchy says we shouldn't do these things, right? That I have to hide my gifts, that I have to hide who I truly am, and I have to not charge for money. Charging for our spiritual gifts isn't spiritual, right? And I find that hilarious in a way, in that why would we not charge for our gifts, right? Why would we not charge for the lifetimes of training and knowledge and all of those things? And in this lifetime, I can guarantee that most spiritual women that I have worked with want another course, or that they want certification to justify different things. And I want to really say to you that charging for your gifts is imperative, right? If you look at I don't know, there are so many people that come to mind. Let's look at your favorite band, right? They learned to play the guitar, to sing, to whatever. They put their money into learning that skill. And we all go out, buy their records, and they make a fortune. Why is it different for a spiritual woman or a spiritual man to charge for their gifts, right? To charge for the thing that they've spent thousands of pounds learning how to do, whether it's a Reiki course, whether it's readings, whether it's astrology courses, right? So it's only this male energy that's told us, no, you can't do that. Charging money isn't spiritual, right? So they're the things that we need to let go of, that are going to help us to move forwards and really start letting go of this witch wound that tells us we're not spiritual, our gifts are dangerous, we don't fit, right? Because we're different. Actually, we're not different, obviously. So there's a lot going on just in the first half of the reading. So how can we start to move forward from this? Because the witch wound really does keep us stuck, right? It can really stop us from going live, from telling people about our services, or showing up as our authentic self, or perhaps even joining other spiritual women. And what I'm really noticing, which I will probably bring in next week, what I'm really noticing is that the witch wound actually needs to work with the sister wound as well. So I'll talk a little bit more about that next week. We're just going to focus on the witch wound this week, as that's what's come up. But it does stop us from being in groups of women, because that fear is there so much. So what the reading is saying here is that our path forwards is obviously to work with this witch wound energy, to release that fear of being visible. And at this point, I want to point out that the fear of being seen comes up in two different wounds. Okay, so we've got the witch wound, fear of being seen, which is about danger, it's about persecution, it's about that real fear of what will happen to us physically if we are seen. Okay, we also have the priestess wound, fear of being seen, and that's about emotional safety, right? That's about being silenced, that's about, having our power taken away, and all of those different things. So they are two very different energies, right? So the witch wound is that danger, that feeling in our body that we're going to be persecuted, misjudged, criticized, compared, and all of those different things. So that's what we're really focusing on with the witch wound. Okay, so what this is saying, so that the next card that came up was unconditional love. Now, this is very much about love for ourselves, right? We have experienced a lot across the lifetimes that we have experienced. So nurturing ourselves, understanding where the fear came from, giving ourselves that unconditional love, but also, not holding on to the resentment of how other people have treated us. That is unconditional love, right? We all go through various things in our lives, and there will be trauma and all of those things, and it's what we learn from that helps us to move forward. So when you understand, whatever's happened in your life, and you start to forgive that, which happens to be the next card, we can start to move on, and we learn the lessons, and we grow, and we expand, right? So this is what has happened. Okay, we have experienced, whether it's through collective energies, whether it's through that masculine energy and that father wound, through generations, through lifetimes, that being a witch in the umbrella of healer, mystic, all of those things, medicine woman, midwife even. So when I'm talking about the witch wound, I'm talking about, the whole of that umbrella. We have been told that we are dangerous, that we shouldn't be trusted, and all of those things. So unconditional love comes up to tell us to start working on forgiveness, right? They didn't know any better, right? They wanted to control, the big pharmaceuticals and, all of those things, right? So we need to be able to bring a different energy into this, and forgiveness is a big part of that, because we don't want to hold on to that energy, right? Otherwise they are still in control, right? And the last thing that we want is for this patriarchal energy to be in control, right? And that is exactly what forgiveness is about. It's not about condoning what they've done, it's about letting that go so that we're not holding on to it anymore. Okay, so unconditional love and forgiveness for self, but also for the patriarchy, for our past life experiences, for our ancestors as well. They did the best that they can do. And as you start to heal the witch wound, we step into our leadership and mastery, right? And that means that we can then start to make a difference. We came here to make a difference. We came here to help, to serve, to lead others, right? So when this is cleared, this is exactly what we can do. So, we're really looking at the visibility piece of the witch wound. There are different aspects of the witch wound and different ways that it shows up. This is specifically dealing with that visibility, that fear of stepping in front of your audience, that fear of stepping in front of your ideal clients or your soul clients. Okay, that fear of being seen for who you truly are. Okay, so let me know how this resonated with you. Which card or which part of the reading really stuck out for you today? I'd love to know, because this is where I want you all to be, is to be that leader, to master your gifts, to master your money, right? So important. You know, money alchemy is all about alchemizing, transforming your money story. And all the time you're holding on to this is not going to change, right? Because you're too scared. It feels too dangerous for you to get out there, to be authentic, to share your gifts, to charge money for your expertise, right? Really important. And, you know, this reading, as well as leadership and mastery, we want money, right? We need to be able to live. And that is really important. So I'd love to know which card resonated with you, where you want to be, what stuck. Let me know in the comments. So if this reading did land with you today, just sit with it. Okay, the fear of being visible, of hiding your gifts, of holding back your power, it didn't start with you, right? It started lifetimes ago. And it's been waiting for this moment to finally be seen and released. So we're not here to stay small. We are here to lead, right? We are here to be that leader. So if you want to go deeper into this work, the Akashic Soul Alchemy deck is linked below. These are the cards that I have been working with. These are the cards that you'll see in all of my readings. And they're ready to take you into your own Akashic records, your own wounds, and your own reclamation as well. And if the witch wound resonated with you today, I do have a specific healing journey in my shop designed to help you to clear the fear. So I think it's called Safe to Be Seen healing journey. Okay, so do check though. I will link it, because there is a Safe to Be Seen priestess wound and there is a Safe to Be Seen witch wound. Okay, there are two very different clearings. So if you're ready to reclaim your gifts, step back into your full power, the link for that healing journey is available. And if you're not sure which soul wound is most active for you right now, take the free quiz, the soul wound quiz, because your soul already knows what is ready to heal. We're just here to listen. So do check the link for that below as well. And until next time, I do see you, I honor you, and I will see you in the Akashic Records. Have an amazing week. Do look out for the activation later in the week, and do take the quiz as well. And let me know what your result was. And I will see you again soon. Ciao for now.